can now bring in correspondent Paul Rhys. Paul, Iraq is threatening to break off diplomatic relations with Sweden if this Quran burning does in fact take place. Will that pressure authorities in Sweden to call this off?
Well, it won't pressure the government, at least initially today, because the government really doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the police and the courts who have to make these decisions about these demonstrations, and they've sort of been leading each other a merry dance since Quran started being burnt in Sweden a couple of years ago by the Danish right-wing politician Rasmus Paludan. Essentially, the problem is for Sweden that the constitution is heavily in favour of freedom of expression. Occasionally, the law means that the police can deny permission to do these demonstrations if they can prove to the courts that it constitutes a inciting hatred against a minority group. However, they've not been able to prove that so far. Some saying maybe that's because actually these kind of incidents tend to provoke sympathy for Muslims among the Swedish population rather than hatred. So far, the Swedish government's been quite bullish, saying that the Iraqi authorities have not fulfilled their responsibilities to their embassy in Baghdad. But over the past month, the government has also said that maybe if this kind of incident threatens Sweden's security, then the police can have more powers to ban them.
And Paul, why is today's planned protest, why was it publicized in the first place?
Well, these kind of things are just very routine in Sweden. Demonstrations are a big part of the Swedish constitution, largely created so that people could demonstrate against the Swedish government's own actions or world affairs. A kind of 60s dynamic. So it just goes out on the police circulars. Also, this demonstrator Salwan Momika, Iraqi national who apparently used to be a leader in a Christian militia in Iraq, obviously wants to get this publicized. It's perhaps notable that the only people on record as burning a Quran in Sweden, none of them have been originally Swedish. There was an Egyptian who wanted to demonstrate that he would be threatened if he was sent back to Egypt as a former Muslim. There was, as I said, the Danish far-right leader, and this individual as well is obviously causing a huge diplomatic problem for Sweden. We'll have to see how that plays out. They might just at least be grateful. It doesn't look like affecting their NATO application anymore.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Paul. Paul Rhys reporting there.